The blue planet called Earth looked peaceful from space. Its white clouds moved slowly over green lands and blue oceans. No one watching from far away would think this small world could fight back against the mighty Galactic Council. Ambassador. Veltar stood on the bridge of his massive ship, the Harmony's Promise. The ship was beautiful, made of white crystal that shined like a star. It was 10 times bigger than anything humans had ever built. Behind it, 5 more ships waited in perfect formation. Such a primitive world, Veltar said to his aide. His voice was soft and musical like all his people. Look how small their cities are. They haven't even left their own solar system yet. The aide nodded. Shall we begin the standard greeting, Ambassador? Of course. They will be so grateful to join our great civilization. Veltar had done this same job on 50 other worlds. It was always the same. The primitive species would see the Council's mighty ships and immediately surrender. They would beg to join the galactic community. Some cried with joy when they learned about all the wonderful technology they would receive. But Earth was different. Deep below the surface of Earth, in a secret base built inside a mountain, Captain Dae-Ho Kim watched the alien ships on his screen. He was a tall man with dark eyes that never showed fear. His uniform was black with silver stars on the shoulders. How many ships? He asked. 6 ships total, sir, said Commander Sora Park. She was smaller than the captain, but twice as dangerous. Her fingers moved quickly over the control panel. The big one is twice the size of our biggest city. And they think that scares us, Captain Kim said with a cold smile. Dr. Hye-Jin Choi looked up from her computer. She was the smartest person on the base, maybe on the whole planet. Captain, I'm reading their message. They want to talk. Put it on screen. The alien's face appeared on the big screen. Veltar looked almost human, but his skin was pale blue and his eyes were too big. When he smiled, his teeth were perfectly white. Greetings, people of Earth, Veltar said. His voice was translated into perfect English. I am Ambassador Veltar of the Galactic Council. We come in peace to welcome you into our great family of civilized worlds. Captain Kim said nothing. He just watched. Your world is very young, the ambassador continued. You have wars, you have hunger, you destroy your own planet with pollution. But do not worry. The Council will fix all these problems. We will give you clean energy. We will teach you how to live in peace. We will make your lives wonderful. Engineer Taemin Lee laughed quietly. He was working on something at his desk, something that made strange blue lights. They think we need their help. All you have to do, Veltar said, is join the Council. Your leaders will work with our leaders. Your people will learn our ways. In just a few hundred years, Earth will be as advanced as any world in the galaxy. The message ended. The bridge was quiet for a moment. Sir, said Lieutenant Byung-Ho Shin, they're moving orbital stations around our major cities. New York, London, Tokyo, Seoul. They're positioning themselves right above us. Commander Park's hands moved over her weapons controls. Those aren't just stations, sir. They're weapons platforms. If we say no, they can destroy our cities in minutes. Captain Kim nodded slowly. He had expected this. The Council always did the same thing. They offered friendship while pointing guns at your head. Dr. Choi, he said, send a message to all our ships. Tell them to prepare for Operation Steel Rain. Sir, are you sure? Dr. Choi asked. Once we start this, there's no going back. There was never any going back, Captain Kim replied. Send the message. On the alien ship, Veltar waited for Earth's reply. He was not worried. No species had ever said no to the Council's offer. Why would they? The Council had the biggest ships, the best weapons, and 3,000 years of experience ruling the galaxy. Ambassador, his aide said, we're receiving a transmission from Earth. Excellent. Put their leader on screen. I want to see their grateful faces. But the face that appeared was not grateful. Captain Kim's dark eyes stared at Veltar with no emotion at all. His voice was calm and cold. Ambassador Veltar, Captain, Kim said, I am Captain Dae-Ho Kim, speaking for the United Earth Defense Force. We have received your message. Wonderful, Veltar said. I knew you would be reasonable. When can we begin the integration process? You misunderstand, Captain Kim said. We are not accepting your offer. We are giving you an order. Leave our solar system within 72 hours. Veltar's smile disappeared. I'm sorry, I don't think I heard you correctly. You heard me perfectly. Leave our system within 72 hours or face the consequences. The ambassador laughed, but it was not a happy sound. Captain Kim, I think you don't understand the situation. We have 6 ships. Each one could destroy your entire planet. You have, what, a few small rockets? Some primitive weapons? We have what we need, Captain Kim said. Be reasonable, Veltar said. Look at your screens. Our orbital stations are positioned over your cities. If you do not cooperate, millions of your people will die. Is your pride worth so many lives? Captain Kim's expression never changed. Ambassador, you have 71 hours and 58 minutes remaining. The transmission ended. Veltar stared at the blank screen. In 3,000 years of council history, no one had ever spoken to them like that. No one had ever threatened them. Sir, his aide said quietly, what should we do? Send a message to the council. Tell them we have encountered an unusually stubborn species. Request permission to use force if necessary. And if they resist? Veltar's blue skin turned darker. Then we will teach them what happens to worlds that refuse the council's friendship. Back on Earth, Captain Kim walked to the window of his command center. Above ground, people went about their normal lives. They had no idea that alien ships floated above their cities, or that their world was about to change forever. Captain, Engineer Lee said, no, the Iron Phoenix is ready. All systems are online. Good. How long until she's fully charged? 68 hours, sir. Captain Kim smiled. It was not a nice smile. Perfect timing. Commander Park joined him at the window. Sir, do you really think they'll leave? No, Captain Kim said. They think they're the strongest predators in the galaxy. They've been hunting weaker species for thousands of years. He turned to look at her. They're about to learn what happens when predators meet something even more dangerous. And what's that, sir? Captain Kim's smile grew wider. They meet humans. High above Earth, the alien ships waited. They had given ultimatums to 50 worlds before. Every time, the primitive species had surrendered when they saw the Council's power. Earth would be no different. But deep in space, something was moving. Something that had been built in secret, designed by the smartest minds on Earth, and powered by humanity's greatest discovery. Something that would arrive in exactly 72 hours. The aliens thought they were the hunters. They were about to become the prey. The countdown had begun. As warning, space near Earth began to change. The darkness twisted and bent like someone was tearing a hole in reality itself. Then, with a flash of blue light, something emerged from hyperspace. The Iron Phoenix was nothing like the beautiful crystal ships of the Galactic Council. It was dark gray, covered in thick armor plates that absorbed scanner beams instead of reflecting them. Sharp angles ran along its hull, making it look like a metal predator ready to strike. Strange weapons stuck out from its sides like deadly spines. On the bridge of the Harmony's Promise, alarms started screaming. "Ambassador," the aide shouted. "Something just appeared behind us." Veltar rushed to the main screen. When he saw the human ship, his blue skin turned pale. "That's impossible. They don't have hyperspace technology." "Sir, it's scanning us with some kind of energy we've never seen before." The human ship was smaller than the Council's flagship, but somehow it felt more dangerous. It moved like a living thing, turning slowly to face the alien fleet. Its weapons were already glowing with deadly energy. On the Iron Phoenix, Captain Kim sat in his command chair like a king on his throne. Around him, his officers worked at their stations with calm efficiency. They had trained for this moment for years. "Status report," Captain Kim said quietly. "All weapon systems online," Commander Park replied. Her fingers danced over the tactical controls. "Enemy ships are in perfect formation. They're not even trying to defend themselves." Lieutenant Shin looked up from his navigation station. "Sir, they're sending us a message." "Put it through." Veltar's face appeared on the screen again. This time, he didn't look friendly. His big eyes were angry, and his musical voice was sharp. "Human vessel, you are in violation of Galactic Council law. Return to your planet immediately, or we will be forced to destroy you." Captain Kim didn't even blink. "Ambassador, your 72 hours are up. You were told to leave. You chose to stay. You cannot threaten the Galactic Council. We have 6 ships to your 1. "I'm not threatening anyone," Captain Kim said calmly. "I'm simply informing you that you're now trespassing in human space. The penalty for trespassing is death." Veltar laughed, but it sounded nervous. "1 primitive ship against our entire fleet? You must be joking." "I never joke about killing," Captain Kim replied. Then he closed the communication channel. Commander Park leaned forward in her seat. "Sir, the escort ships are moving to surround us." "Let them come," Captain Kim said. "Are our special weapons ready?" Engineer Lee smiled from his station. "The kinetic drivers are charged to full power. Nuclear warheads are armed and ready. And the new toys you asked for? They're waiting. For your command?" "Perfect." Captain Kim stood up. "All stations prepare for combat. Remember, we're not just fighting for Earth today. We're showing the galaxy what humans can do." The 5 Council escort ships moved to form a circle around the Iron Phoenix. They were beautiful vessels, shaped like flowers made of crystal and light. Their energy shields glowed softly and their plasma weapons began to charge. "Human ship," one of the escort captains transmitted. "Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. This is your final warning." Instead of answering, the Iron Phoenix did something the aliens had never seen before. It fired. But these weren't energy weapons like the Council used. Metal rods, each one as long as a building, shot out of the human ship at incredible speed. They had been accelerated to almost the speed of light by magnetic fields. The first escort ship's shields were designed to stop energy beams. They were not designed to stop solid metal moving at near light speed. The kinetic round punched through, the shield like it wasn't even there, tore through the crystal hull and came out the other side in a shower of debris. The beautiful ship exploded in a ball of fire. "Impossible!" Veltar screamed on his bridge. "No one uses kinetic weapons anymore, they're too primitive." The second escort ship tried to turn away, but it was too late. Another metal rod smashed into its engine section. The ship spun out of control, bleeding atmosphere and crew into space. Then the Iron Phoenix fired something even worse. Nuclear missiles streaked through space, each one carrying enough power to level a city. But these weren't normal nuclear weapons. Engineer Lee had modified them for space combat, making them burn hotter and longer than anything the galaxy had ever seen. The third escort ship's shields held for exactly 2 seconds. Then the nuclear fire washed over it, melting the crystal hull like ice cream in an oven. The ship died screaming, its crew's final transmissions cut short by the terrible heat. "This is impossible," Veltar shouted. "Nuclear weapons are forbidden, they're barbaric." On the Iron Phoenix, Technician Han looked up from her communication station. "Sir, I'm intercepting their transmissions. They're calling for help." Jam. "Their signals," Commander Park ordered. "I don't want anyone to know what happened here until we're ready." "Already done, ma'am." The 4th escort ship tried to run. It turned away from the human vessel and fired its engines at full power. But Lieutenant Shin had anticipated this. The Iron Phoenix jumped into hyperspace for just a moment, appearing right in front of the fleeing ship. "Surprise," Commander Park whispered, and fired the ship's main cannon. This weapon was Engineer Lee's masterpiece. It didn't just destroy matter. It broke it apart at the atomic level. The escort ship simply stopped existing, leaving nothing behind but a cloud of glowing particles. The 5th escort ship's captain was smarter than the others. He immediately transmitted a surrender signal and powered down all weapons. "Wise choice," Captain Kim said. "Technician Han, tell him to return to his home world. If we see any Council ships in this system again, we won't be so merciful." The surviving escort ship jumped to hyperspace so fast it left a trail of energy behind it. Now only the flagship remained. The Harmony's Promise hung in space like a wounded giant, its beautiful crystal hull reflecting the light of the explosions around it. Ambassador Veltar. Captain Kim's voice came over the communication system. You have 5 minutes to leave our solar system. If you're still here when the time is up, you'll join your escorts. On the Council flagship, chaos ruled. Officers ran back and forth, shouting orders that no one followed. Some were crying. Others were praying to gods from a dozen different worlds. Sir, the aide whispered to Veltar, we have to go. They destroyed 4 ships in less than 10 minutes. But the orbital stations, Veltar said weakly. We still have weapons positioned over their cities. Not anymore. Technician Han's voice came over their speakers. We took control of your stations 3 minutes ago. They're now pointed at your ship instead of our cities. Veltar looked at his screens. It was true. All 6 orbital stations had turned around and were now targeting his flagship. Somehow the humans had hacked systems that were supposed to be impossible to break into. How? He whispered. We're very good with computers, Captain Kim replied, and we're very good at killing. You have 4 minutes left. Veltar fell into his command chair. In 3,000 years, the Galactic Council had never been defeated in battle. They had never even been seriously challenged. And now these primitive humans had destroyed 4 of his ships without even trying hard. Jump to hyperspace, he ordered quietly. Take us home. What about the integration mission? His aide asked. Veltar looked at the debris floating where his escort ships used to be. There is no mission. We're going home to tell the Council that we found something we weren't prepared for. The Harmony's promise jumped to hyperspace, leaving the solar system empty except for Earth ships and the wreckage of the alien vessels. On the Iron Phoenix, Captain Kim allowed himself a small smile. Sir, Commander Park said, that was almost too easy. It was supposed to be easy, Captain Kim replied. This wasn't a battle, this was a message. Now the real war begins. Dr. Choi looked up from her station. Sir, I've finished analyzing the alien wreckage. Their technology is advanced, but it's not designed for real warfare. They've been using diplomacy and threats for so long they forgot how to fight. Good, Captain Kim said, because we never forgot how to kill. Lieutenant Shin turned from his navigation controls. Sir, I'm detecting hyperspace signatures. More ships are coming. How many? A lot, sir. Maybe 50 ships. Captain, Kim's smile grew wider. Perfect. Signal the Savage Dawn and Blood Thunder. Tell them it's time to show the galaxy what happens when you threaten Earth. Yes, sir. The Iron Phoenix turned toward the approaching fleet. Its weapons recharged, its engines burned bright, and its crew prepared for the real fight to begin. The galaxy was about to learn a very important lesson. Humans didn't fight to win battles, they fought to win wars. The news spread through the galaxy like wildfire. 4 council ships destroyed. An entire escort fleet wiped out in 10 minutes. The mighty Galactic Council, rulers of 3,000 years, had been beaten by a species that hadn't even left their own solar system. On the Council's homeworld, emergency meetings ran day and night. Representatives from dozens of species shouted at each other in the Great Assembly Hall. Some demanded immediate revenge. Others wanted to negotiate. All of them were afraid. This is impossible, screamed General Caxton of the warrior caste. His forearms waved wildly as he spoke. No primitive species has weapons like that. Clearly they do, replied Counselor Zephys, her snake-like body coiled around her speaking platform. The question is, what do we do about it? Ambassador Veltar stood before the assembly, his blue skin still pale from shock. Honored council members, I witnessed their attack with my own eyes. These humans, they don't fight like civilized beings. They use forbidden weapons, nuclear fire, kinetic rounds. They hack our systems like children playing with toys. Then, we destroy them before they can threaten anyone else, General Caxton declared. I volunteer to lead the attack force myself. With what ships? Veltar asked quietly. Sir, they didn't just defeat us, they made it look easy. 1 ship against 6 and we ran like frightened children. The assembly fell silent. No one wanted to admit it, but they were all thinking the same thing. What if the humans were stronger? Then the council? We need a massive fleet, declared High Chancellor Mordak. 50 ships, 100. enough to crush them completely. Agreed, said General Caxton. I'll gather ships from 12 different species. The humans will see the true power of the Galactic Council. While the aliens argued, Captain Kim stood in the command center of the Iron Phoenix. Around him, holographic displays showed the positions of ships throughout the galaxy. His officers worked quietly at their stations preparing for what they all knew was coming. Sir, Lieutenant Shin reported, our scout ships confirm it. The Council is assembling a battle fleet at the Nexus station. Current count is 47 ships, with more arriving every hour. What's their estimated departure time? Captain Kim asked. 6 days, sir. Commander Park looked up from her tactical display. That's a lot of ships, Captain. Even with our advantages, those are difficult odds. Captain Kim smiled his cold smile. Commander, you're thinking like they do. They think this is about numbers. They think if they bring enough ships, they can force us to surrender. Isn't it? Asked Dr. Choi. No. This isn't about winning a battle. This is about teaching the galaxy to fear us. Fear is much more powerful than any weapon. Engineer Lee finished his work at his station and turned around. Sir, the Savage Dawn and Blood Thunder are ready. Both ships have the new stealth systems installed. Excellent. And the special modifications? Complete, sir. We can now jump in and out of hyperspace with pinpoint accuracy. We can appear anywhere, anytime, without warning. Captain Kim nodded. Perfect. It's time to show the galaxy what real terror looks like. 3 days later, the Council's great fleet began its journey toward Earth. 52 ships from 12 different species, the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. They flew in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming in the light of distant stars. Admiral Thuvok commanded the fleet from his massive dreadnought, the Galactic Fury. He was confident. How could 52 ships lose to 3 human vessels? It was impossible. Admiral, his communications officer reported, we're receiving a transmission from the human fleet. Put it through. Let's hear what they have to say before we crush them. But the voice that came through the speakers wasn't Captain Kim's. It was a woman's voice, cold and emotionless. Council Fleet, this is Commander Jae-Sung Lim of the Earth vessel Silent Reaper. You are entering human territory. Turn back now, or face the consequences. Admiral Thuvok laughed. Human territory? You own one small system. We own the galaxy. Not anymore, Commander Lim replied. Check your long-range scanners. Look at the Vegan colonies. Thuvok's communications officer went pale. Sir, we're getting emergency signals from the Vegan system. 3 colonies are reporting. They're reporting human ships in orbit around their planets. That's impossible. No human ships have left their system. Sir, there are more reports. Coming in. The Altarian mining station, the Centauran trade hub. Human ships are appearing everywhere. Admiral Thuvok stared at his tactical display in disbelief. Red dots were appearing all across the galaxy, each one marking a human vessel. But how? The Council had been watching Earth's solar system. No ships had left. How many ships do these humans have? He whispered. The answer came from Commander Lim's cold voice. Enough. On the bridge of the Silent Reaper, Commander Lim watched her tactical display with satisfaction. The ship was completely invisible to alien sensors, hidden by technology, reverse-engineered from captured Council equipment and improved by human engineering. Ma'am, her communications officer reported, Major Park's psychological operations are working perfectly. We're intercepting alien communications across the galaxy. Panic levels are rising on every world. Major Hanul Park looked up from her station. The beauty of psychological warfare is that you don't need to fire a shot. Fear does all the work for you. Status report on our infiltration teams, Commander Lim ordered. Colonel Song's teams have successfully infiltrated 47 alien colonies. They've left evidence of human presence without harming any civilians. Footprints, recordings, DNA samples. The aliens know we were there, but they don't know what we wanted. Commander Lim nodded. Perfect. The not knowing is the worst part. Let them imagine the worst possible reasons for our visits. Back on the Iron Phoenix, Captain Kim received reports from all across human space. His plan was working perfectly. "Sir," Technician Han reported, "alien military communications are in chaos. Some species are recalling their ships from the Council fleet. Others are demanding immediate peace negotiations. And the fleet itself? Still approaching, but they're moving slower. Admiral Thuvak has ordered constant scanner sweeps. They're jumping at shadows." Dr. Choi looked up from her research station. "Captain, I've been analyzing alien biology from the wreckage we collected. I have good news and bad news." The bad news first. They're physically stronger than humans in most ways. Better reflexes, tougher skin, some can see in multiple spectrums. And the good news? Dr. Choi smiled. They've been at peace for so long they've forgotten how to handle stress. Their nervous systems aren't designed for prolonged fear. We can literally scare them to death. Captain Kim's smile was terrifying. Then let's give them something to really be afraid of. The Council fleet was still 2 days away from Earth when the Iron Phoenix struck for the first time. It didn't attack the main fleet. Instead, it appeared next to a supply convoy at the edge of the formation. The attack lasted 30 seconds. 3 supply ships destroyed, their cargo scattered across space. Then the human ship vanished back into hyperspace before the escorts could even react. 2 hours later, the Savage Dawn hit the fleet's rear guard. 1 ship destroyed, 2 more crippled. Again, the human ship disappeared before anyone could fight back. 4 hours after that, the Blood Thunder appeared in the middle of the formation, destroyed a communication ship, and vanished. "They're picking us apart," Admiral Thuvak screamed at his officers. "How are they doing this?" "Sir, their hyperspace technology is far more advanced than ours. They can jump with precision we can't match. Then we spread out, make it harder for them to target us." But spreading out only made things worse. Now the human ships could attack isolated vessels with no help nearby. The Council fleet began to break apart as captains made their own decisions about how to defend themselves. On the Iron Phoenix, Captain Kim watched the alien fleet dissolve into chaos. "Sir," Commander Park reported, 17 ships have broken off from the main fleet. Some are returning home, others are just running. And the rest? Still approaching Earth, but they're terrified. Their communications are full of panic. "Lieutenant," Shin looked up from his navigation station. "Sir, we could finish them now. 1 coordinated attack with all 3 ships." "No," Captain Kim said firmly. "We don't want to destroy them. We want them to go home and tell everyone what happened. Fear spreads faster than any fleet." Engineer Lee grinned from his station. "Sir, the new weapons are ready if you change your mind." "What new weapons?" "I call them nightmare makers. Weapons that don't just destroy ships. They make sure no one forgets what they saw." Captain Kim nodded approvingly. "Save them for later. Right now, terror is our best weapon." The Council fleet limped back toward their home systems 3 days later. Of the 52 ships that had begun the journey, only 28 made it home. The others had been destroyed, crippled, or had simply fled in panic. Admiral Thuvak's report to the Council was short and terrifying. "The humans don't fight like anyone we've ever faced. They appear from nowhere, strike without warning, and vanish before we can respond. They're not trying to conquer us. They're trying to drive us insane with fear." "And it's working," he added quietly. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. Emergency sessions ran on every Council world. Trade routes shut down as cargo ships refused to leave port. Colonial governors begged for protection that the Council couldn't provide. On the Council's capital world, High Chancellor Mordak stared at reports that grew worse every day. Human ships were everywhere, appearing in systems that should have been impossible to reach. They weren't conquering planets or killing civilians. They were doing something much worse. They were proving that nowhere was safe. 17 more colonies. "Report human infiltration," General Caxton said, his forearms shaking with rage. "They break into our most secure facilities, steal our data, and leave behind messages in our own languages." "What kind of messages?" Mordak asked, though he was afraid of the answer. "Simple ones. We were here. We are watching. We know everything about you." Admiral Wu Jin-Yu stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Earth's Vengeance, watching the tactical display that showed human ships scattered across the galaxy. He was older than Captain Kim, with gray hair and scars from a dozen battles, but his eyes burned with the same cold fire. "Status report," he ordered. Colonel Yunbi Song stepped forward. She was small and quiet, but her reputation made alien. Commanders wake up screaming. "Sir, infiltration teams have successfully penetrated 43 Council worlds. We've downloaded their military databases, mapped their defense networks, and identified their key leaders. Casualties? 0, sir. We're not killing anyone. We're showing them that we could kill anyone, anytime we choose." Admiral Yu nodded, approvingly. "Fear is a weapon that keeps working even when you're not using it. What about our deep strike missions?" Dr. Min-Ho Kang looked up from his physics console. The man was a genius who had helped design weapons that broke the laws of physics. "Sir, the new hyperspace torpedoes are ready. We can now strike any target in the galaxy without warning." "And our stealth ships?" Commander Jae-Sung Lim's voice came through the communication system from the Silent Reaper. "Sir, we've mapped every Council military base, every fleet position, every government facility. They can't move without us knowing about it." "Perfect," Admiral Yu said. "Begin Phase 2. On the Council capital world, High Chancellor Mordak was meeting with representatives from every major species when the lights went out. Emergency power kicked in a moment later, but the damage was done. In the few seconds of darkness, something had been left on his desk. A small device with a human voice recorder. "Chancellor Mordak," the device said in perfect Council common language. "This is Admiral Wu Jin-Yu of the United Earth Defense Force. We wanted to show you how easily we could have killed you just now. We chose not to, this time." The Chancellor's hand shook as he picked up the device. "How did they get in here? This building has 100 layers of security." General Caxton was already on his communicator, shouting orders at security chiefs, but the reports that came back made everyone in the room turn pale. "Sir, they didn't just get into this building. They got into every government building on the planet, every military base, every secure facility, all at the same time." The voice recorder continued. "You have tried to conquer our world through force and threats. Now you will learn what it feels like to be hunted. Every day we will demonstrate our reach. Every night you will wonder when we might decide to stop being merciful." Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out on dozens of worlds. Council leaders found human devices in their private offices, their bedrooms, their most secure meeting rooms. The message was always the same. "We can reach you anywhere. You are never safe." But the humans weren't content with just scaring leaders. They wanted to break the entire Council system. Major Han Newell Park sat in her psychological operations center aboard the Mindbreaker, surrounded by screens showing alien news broadcasts from across the galaxy. Her team of experts worked to plant doubt and fear in every corner of Council space. "Ma'am," her communications specialist reported, "we've successfully hacked into the Council's main news networks. We're now controlling what information gets broadcast to civilian populations." "Excellent. Begin Operation Doubt." The operation was simple but devastating. Human hackers began altering news reports just slightly. A story about a peaceful trade agreement would include a line about increased military patrols. A report on a cultural festival would mention heightened security due to unknown threats. Nothing dramatic, nothing that could be easily proven false. Just enough to make every alien citizen wonder, what aren't our leaders telling us? On Earth, Captain Kim received reports from across the galaxy. His plan was working better than he had hoped. "Sir," Dr. Choi reported, "alien psychological profiles show stress levels rising on every Council world. Some species are showing signs of mass anxiety disorders." "And their military response?" "Chaos," Commander Park replied with satisfaction. "They're pulling ships back to defend their home worlds. Trade convoys are traveling with military escorts. Some colonies are demanding independence because they don't trust the Council to protect them." Engineer Lee looked up from his workstation. "Sir, the Doomsday protocols are ready for testing." "What exactly do these protocols do?" "If any Council force ever threatens Earth with total destruction, every major population center in the galaxy receives a visit from our deepest strike weapons. Mutual annihilation guaranteed." Captain Kim nodded slowly. Good. Make sure the AS Council knows about them. Fear of death is powerful, but fear of taking everyone else with you is even stronger. The Council's response came 2 weeks later. Instead of another military fleet, they sent a diplomatic mission. But this wasn't like Veltar's arrogant demand for surrender. This was a desperate plea for peace. Ambassador Nelvia was younger than Veltar, with pale green skin and large, nervous eyes. Her ship was small and carried no weapons. When she arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system, she was immediately surrounded by human vessels that seemed to appear from nowhere. "This is Ambassador Nelvia of the Galactic Council," she transmitted on all frequencies. "I request permission to approach Earth for peaceful negotiations." The response came from Captain Kim himself. "Ambassador, you may approach, but understand that you are completely surrounded by ships you cannot see, carrying weapons you cannot imagine. Any hostile action will result in your immediate destruction." Nelvia's ship trembled as it flew toward Earth. She could feel the targeting sensors locked onto her vessel, could sense the invisible ships watching her every move. When she finally reached Earth's orbital stations, she was shocked by what she saw. The humans had built massive defense platforms around their planet, but these weren't normal defensive weapons. They were clearly designed to reach across interstellar space, to strike at targets light years away. "My God," she whispered. "They can attack anyone, anywhere in the galaxy." The meeting took place on Luna, Earth's moon, in a conference room with windows that looked out at the blue planet below. Nelvia sat across from Admiral Yu, Captain Kim, and other human leaders. She tried to maintain her dignity, but her hands shook as she spoke. "The Council wishes to negotiate a peaceful resolution to this conflict," she began. "There is no conflict," Admiral Yu replied calmly. "You came to our system and threatened us. We defended ourselves. Now you want to negotiate because you're afraid. We may have made mistakes in our first contact protocols." Captain Kim leaned forward. "Ambassador, let me explain something. Your council has spent 3,000 years bullying weaker species into submission. You've grown soft, comfortable, arrogant. You forgot that predators still exist in the universe. We offer you full membership in the council, with equal voting rights, and—" "We don't want to join your council," Admiral Yu interrupted. "We want you to leave us alone." "Completely alone." Nelvia's green skin turned pale. "But surely we can find some middle ground, some way to coexist peacefully." "There is a way," Captain Kim said. "You stop trying to uplift species that don't want your help. You stop forcing your version of civilization on others. You learn to respect the word no. And if we refuse?" The room fell silent. Outside the windows, Earth turned slowly in space, beautiful and terrible in the light of its sun. "Then we teach the galaxy what happens to empires that rely on fear to maintain power," Admiral Yu said quietly. "We show them what real fear looks like." Nelvia left the meeting with a list of human demands that would fundamentally change how the Council operated. As her ship flew away from Earth, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched by invisible predators. She was right. Dozens of human ships followed her home, mapping every defense, recording every transmission, preparing for the war that everyone knew was coming. The hunt was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. The Galactic Council's final answer came 6 months later. Instead of accepting humanity's demands, they chose to make one last, desperate attempt to maintain their power. The largest fleet in galactic history assembled at the Council Nexus, 300 ships from 27 different species. "If we cannot defeat them," High Chancellor Mordak declared, "then the galaxy will fall into chaos. Every species will think they can defy the Council." General Caxton commanded the massive fleet from his flagship, the Galaxy's Might. This time, they wouldn't make the mistake of underestimating the humans. This time, they would bring so many ships that victory was impossible to deny. "Admiral," his communications officer reported, "the fleet is ready. All ships report battle-ready status." "Good. Set course for the human home system. We end this today." But when the Council fleet arrived at Earth's solar system, they found something that shook them to their core. The system was empty. No defense, fleets, no orbital platforms, Just automated beacons broadcasting a simple message. Looking for us? We're at your capital. At the Council Nexus, the heart of galactic civilization, alarms screamed across the massive space station, the greatest city in the galaxy, home to 50 billion beings from 100 different worlds, was under siege. But this wasn't a normal siege. The human fleet hadn't attacked the station. They had simply appeared around it, like wolves surrounding wounded prey. General Sujin Bei stood on the bridge of the human flagship Earthbreaker, watching the Council station through the main viewport. She was the supreme commander of all human forces, a woman who had never lost a battle and never shown mercy to an enemy. "Status report," she ordered. Captain Donghyun Lee looked up from his tactical station. "Ma'am, the entire human fleet is in position. Every Council ship in the system is surrounded. Their defensive fleet is trapped between our outer and inner formations. How many ships do they have?" 147 vessels, ma'am. All armed, but most are civilian protection units, not military warships. General Bei nodded. "And how many ships do we have?" "That's classified, ma'am, even from them." She smiled coldly. "Good, let them wonder." Specialist In Young Park worked at her electronic warfare station, her fingers flying over controls that most people couldn't even understand. "Ma'am, I've taken control of the station's communication systems. Every transmission in Council space is now under our control. All Council military frequencies?" "Yes, ma'am. And civilian networks, news broadcasts, government channels. If someone wants to send a message in Council space, it goes through us first." General Bei turned to the main communication panel. "Patch me through to every screen, every speaker, every communication device in the galaxy." A moment later, her voice was being broadcast to trillions of beings across thousands of worlds. Alien families watching the news suddenly saw a human face looking back at them. Government officials found their secure channels hijacked. Military commanders discovered that their orders were being overridden by a woman they had never seen before. "Citizens of the galaxy," General Bei began, her voice calm and clear. "I am General Sujin Bei of the United Earth Defense Force. For the past year, your leaders have tried to force my people to surrender our freedom. Today, we demonstrate why that was a mistake." On the Council station, panic spread through the corridors like wildfire. High Chancellor Mordak tried to reach his military commanders, but every channel was broadcasting the human general's message. "Your council told you they were sending diplomats to Earth," General Bei continued. "They lied. They sent warships and threats. Your council told you they were protecting you from a dangerous species. They lied. We have never attacked a civilian, target, or harmed a non-combatant." In the station's command center, emergency meetings were called, but no one could organize a response. Every time they tried to communicate, human voices overrode their systems. "Your council told you they were the strongest force in the galaxy," General Bei said. "They were wrong. At this moment, human ships surround every major council world. We are positioned over your capital cities, your military bases, your government centers. We could end your civilization in the next 10 minutes. Captain Lee looked up from his weapons display. "Ma'am, all council ships in the system are powering down their weapons. They're requesting permission to surrender." Denied. They're not the ones who need to surrender. Engineer Young-Soo Kim's voice came through the internal communication system. "Ma'am, the Doomsday protocols are armed and ready. Every major population center in the galaxy is targeted. If anyone tries to destroy Earth, they take everyone else with them." General Bei nodded. "Make sure the council knows about that." On screens across the galaxy, alien beings watched as technical displays showed the scope of human weapons. Targeting. Systems locked onto their own worlds. Weapons that could cross interstellar space in minutes, carrying enough destructive power to crack planets. "We don't want to rule you," General Bei continued. "We don't want your resources or your territory. We want one simple thing: to be left alone. But your leaders decided that wasn't acceptable. They decided that every species in the galaxy must bow to their authority." High Chancellor Mordak finally managed to establish a communication channel to the human fleet. His image appeared on the Earthbreaker's main screen, his face pale with fear. "General Bei, surely we can reach some agreement. The Council is willing to negotiate." There are no negotiations, General Bay replied coldly. You have one choice. Accept our terms, or watch your civilization burn. What terms? Captain Lee stepped forward and began reading from a prepared document. Complete withdrawal of all Council forces from human space. Recognition of humanity as a sovereign power with full rights to self-determination. An end to the Council's practice of forced integration of unwilling species. Establishment of a new galactic treaty that recognizes the right of any species to refuse Council membership. And if we refuse? General Bay's smile was terrifying. Then we demonstrate why humans are called the children of Earth, beautiful when left in peace, terrible beyond imagination when threatened. Specialist Park looked up from her station. Ma'am, I'm detecting movement from the Council fleet that was heading to Earth. They're turning around and coming back here. Estimated arrival time? 6 hours, ma'am. Perfect. That gives them just enough time to see the end of the old galaxy and the beginning of the new one. The next 6 hours were the longest in galactic history. Across thousands of worlds, alien beings watched their screens as the human fleet maintained its position around the Council nexus. No shots were fired. No ultimatums were given. The humans simply waited, like predators who knew their prey had nowhere to run. When General Caxton's fleet finally arrived, they found the system in a state of controlled chaos. The Council's home fleet was scattered and demoralized. The great space station was dark except for emergency lighting, and surrounding it all human ships that seemed to have multiplied while no one was watching. How many ships do they have? Caxton demanded. Sir, we can't get an accurate count. Their stealth technology is beyond anything we've seen. It doesn't matter. We still outnumber them 3-1. But even as he said it, Caxton knew it wasn't true. Numbers meant nothing when your enemy could appear anywhere, strike without warning, and disappear before you could respond. General Bay's voice came over all communication channels one final time. General Caxton, you have arrived just in time to witness the end of the Council's authority. You can attack us if you choose. You might even destroy some of our ships. But if you do, every world you've ever loved will burn in nuclear fire within the hour. She paused, letting the threat sink in. Or you can accept that the galaxy has changed. The age of forced peace is over. The age of earned respect has begun. The choice was simple: surrender or mutual annihilation. General Caxton looked at his tactical display, at the Council worlds that depended on him for protection, at the billions of lives that hung in the balance. Then he looked at the human ships surrounding his fleet, each one carrying enough firepower to destroy a planet. All ships, he transmitted on the fleet frequency. Stand down. Power down all weapons. Sir? His aide asked in disbelief. It's over, Caxton said quietly. They've won. On the Earthbreaker, General Bay allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity would never again be threatened by those who mistook civilization for weakness. Captain Lee, she ordered, signal the fleet, mission accomplished, begin the withdrawal to human space. As the human ships began to disappear back into hyperspace, General Bay made one final broadcast to the galaxy. We came to the stars not to kneel, but to stand tall. Remember that, and we will have peace. Forget it, and we will remind you why humans are the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. The Council formally accepted humanity's terms 3 days later. The forced integration protocols were abolished. Species were given the right to refuse Council membership, and humanity was granted complete autonomy within their own space. The galaxy had a new rule. Leave the humans alone and they'll leave you alone. Threaten them and learn why Earth didn't send diplomats. They sent gods of war instead.